your horror movie podcast.
Welcome back, Hack Stab Slash. It's your boy Hacky. I'm hanging out with Stabby and some fucking crazy ass guy named, what's your name again?
Just Justin. What is up, people? Let's do this.
We've only done this a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Coming fresh off a Corn concert, this dude's about to tell us all about this movie. But before we get into it, Waterboy, this is your selection for our 13 on 13. Why'd you pick this movie?
So I recently watched this again, and I mean, growing up, I absolutely loved these books, telling scary stories, tell in the dark. Absolutely loved them. So as soon as this movie did come out, I watched it, and my kids watched it. They loved it as well. Of course, the director or the producer, Guillermo del Toro, who's like notably for a bunch of weird, like Pan's
Did you just call him Gilmore?
No, like Gil. Okay. Come,
you say Happy Gilmore?
I did say Happy Gilmore. So he's responsible for Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison.
Isn't it like Guillermo del Toro?
Yeah,
I can't say his name either.
Guillermo
it's definitely not fucking Gilmore.
I'm not trying.
He's a Gilmore girl.
We're off to a great start. My God.
But he's responsible for some like Pan's Labyrinth, which was super dark and crazy, and of course the first Hellboy movies. Awesome producer director. I absolutely did love this. I mean, we'll see how it changed throughout the movie when I'm critiquing things. But
Justin, have you ever seen this movie before? What are your thoughts on it? Did you buy it at the Scholastic Book Fair as well?
Nope, never even heard of the books my whole entire life. Knew nothing about this movie. I didn't even watch the trailer. I obviously, when they came out, I mean, just from being in the horror shit, I heard about it and I heard it was good and fun, and I kind of got the gist that it was going to be a bunch of different stories. I don't know how I even missed those books. I love the Goosebumps series and all those different things. So yeah, I know nothing about this going in. So yeah, went in completely blind, didn't even watch the trailer.
Oh yeah,
that's perfect, dude. So we got someone who actually read the books and is excited for this movie. We got someone who knows nothing about it. I was a Goosebumps kid when these books were out. I was more into Goosebumps. The illustrations like horrified me, but I was more into the Goosebumps reading aspect of it. So I was excited when it came out. So let's fucking get into this, boys. Let's tackle some scary stories to tell in the dark.
Let's turn out the lights.
All right. Stories heal. Stories hurt. If we repeat them often enough, they become real. They make us who we are and have such power. This is what I learned the last autumn of my childhood. This is what we hear being said into this movie. And then we are introduced to the town of Mill Valley, Pennsylvania on Halloween night, 1968. While Season of the Witch plays, I already love this so much. This is like awesomest song ever. And
great intro.
Awesome intro to this movie. I don't even know who the main character is or anything yet. So this song plays and we see just teenagers getting ready for Halloween. We see a few of them in a cornfield beating up a scarecrow and smacks the shit out of the scarecrow and says, like, screw you, Harold. And then we see three of them that ended up being Chuck, Augie, and Stella, all dressed up as a witch, a spider, I think it was a clown or something weird.
It wasn't a clown, Justin.
They said, I don't even know what the
Actually, I forget what he kept saying. He was like, I'm a Pierre or something.
I don't even understand what they were saying. So,
and then the other kid was supposed to be Spider-Man. But his mom gave him the costume. Did you hear it? He was like, I said Spider-Man, not man spider. And she was like, just be happy God provides.
It was a rough costume. But anyway, as we see them walking around trick-or-treating, we see a car flying by of a bunch of jocks and a girl driving, and they hold their bag out, and the bag gets swiped by this car of people, but the joke's on them because there is shit in it. And all of a sudden, the car stops, slams on the brake, and it is go time. Their eggs are out. They are egging this. They light a bag of shit on fire, throw it into the car. It lands right into the leader of the jocks, Tommy's lap, catches them on fire. Freaking
so
floors. Yeah, floors. The car crashes into a fence, and then it is on. They scram. They are running for the life. These kids are out of the car. They are chasing. They end up running through a drive-through of a horror movie.
Well, horror movie. Just what horror
movie is playing?
Sorry. This is a drive-in. They don't go through a drive-through. There's a drive-in theater. Yeah, they drive through Wendy's real fast, grab a few burgers. In the drive-in,
open late, so you can eat great.
We got a horror movie. In a horror movie, they are watching Night of the Living Dead. Yes. And they see someone's car, Ramon. We meet Ramon. They jump in his car. Stella in the front seat, two guys in the back. And you can tell right away, like, Stella and Ramon are already hitting it off. And the kids, they're ducking, hiding for the life. And the jocks end up finding them. They are screaming at him. They got a baseball bat, basically saying, "Get the heck out of the car." Luckily, they are kicked out, so that ends that. Now that everything's safe, Stella says, "Well, it is Halloween, so you want to see a haunted house? Why not, right?" So they go to a haunted house, and we see this very creepy house that is all boarded up and stuff. And she starts explaining it is boarded up because the kids went missing. It's very scary to enter. Ramon picks the lock, and you know what? It is go time. They go in there, and they continue telling the legend of the Bellows daughter, who was never allowed to leave the house. Her name was Sarah, and the parents disowned her. And there's no pictures of her or any records of her. And when you go in, the kids could hear her through the walls. And she hanged herself with her own hair. Kids were going missing.
Talk about a Rapunzel story, huh?
Right?
Rapunzel wrap around your hair, dude.
Seriously. And apparently these kids would go in there and they'd ask her to tell you a story, and it would be the last story you ever hear. So now the kids are exploring. They're all having fun. Ramon is just picking every single lock he possibly finds. They're opening doors. They actually find a really creepy room that apparently is Sarah's room. As this has all happened, Chuck and Augie are having fun running around. But it gets really creepy when all of a sudden Chuck looks in and he sees a terrifying lady like sitting on a bed with a dog just freaking staring. So creepy.
Did this give you off like Monty Burns vibes? Like from The Simpsons?
Yes. And then all of a sudden, really weird, because like Augie opens the door, and all of a sudden there's just no one there. So it's panic. All of a sudden they're running. They're like, "We got to get the hell out of here! Like, let's go find them." Sarah, meanwhile, finds a book of scary stories. So creepy. If you find a book like that, just leave it. Haven't you seen enough horror movies? For the love of God, leave.
She also tells him,
books.
like, before she finds his book, she says the only way to summon her is to say, "Sarah, tell me a story."
Yes.
You find this chick's book. Yeah, and it looks like it's written in blood, and that's the mythology behind it. And you sit there and go, "Sarah, tell me a story."
So like, terrifying.
I'm sorry, I'd Molly Whopper, dude, right there.
Yeah, so like that was ridiculous. But right before she even does that, all of a sudden, like they're panicking, and then all of a sudden, Tommy, the jock, shows up, locks them in there, and we see like the girls with them is actually Chuck's sister, and he freaking throws her in there too, and locks the door, and they all freaking leave. And then, like how Sean just said, all of a sudden Stella now is like takes the freaking book out, and she's literally like, "Tell me a story." Don't do that. And then, holy shit, it's very weird. Like the doors actually unlock, so they actually get out. So like, okay, well, I guess they avoided that. They go outside.
Sarah's a nice person, yeah.
Yeah, she was very nice. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. And we see Ramon's car is just freaking trash. They just bash the shit out of this. They mess his car up so bad. He says he's going to get into the shop the next day. Stella's like, "You know what? You can sleep over the sofa in my basement." So we're now at Sofa's house. Not Sofa's house. Stella's house.
Sofa's house?
Yeah, we're in Sofa's house, and he's going to sleep on Stella.
What do they eat for dinner? Do they eat Sofa's?
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
So
fucking stupid.
Oh, that was actually kind of good. So we see Stella. Of course, she took the book home because why not? So she says goodnight to Ramon. He goes down there to the sofa, and Stella, like Sean mentioned earlier, the book looks like she opens it now. It looks like it's written in blood. And we see a story. It says Harold. And she starts reading this. As she is reading this, we see Tommy, the jock. He's getting home late at night. His parents tell him to like go grab some eggs and stuff. He lives on a farm. He's going up there.
Bro,
and he's shit-faced.
Yeah, and this dude is hammered. And we see the cornfield right there. And as she is reading this, she is narrating now what is happening to Tommy. So we see Tommy, and he goes in there. He goes get some eggs and stuff. Then he has to go through the cornfield. We see him. And, of course, he walks by Harold, and he kicks Harold. And then we see him just walking for a while. And all of a sudden, we see him come past Harold again. Red flag. But like you said, he's shit-faced. So he's probably like, all right, what the hell? So you can tell he kind of noticed, but he just keeps walking. We see he comes across the post again where Harold is, but all of a sudden Harold's not on the posts. He's out. And then we hear something and we look and we freaking see Harold walking. And then all of a sudden he's back on the post. Like, what is even happening? He's coming alive. This thing is coming alive and starting to walk towards him. Harold is walking towards him. He ends up stabbing him. He stabs Harold. Harold takes a pitchfork, stabs Tommy. And a crazy scene. He starts like, Tommy's walking out and he's like coughing up hay, but he's like choking as he's like, you see, and he's like transforming, and he literally is like throws up hay, and boom, immediately switch over to a different part of the story to Sean's spot.
All right, before we kick this off, dude, Justin, how grossed out were you to see Chuck at the very beginning with a fucking fishnet, scooping his own shit out of the toilet
Leave me
to put
alone.
into a bag, and then he lights that bag on fire and throws it at Tommy.
I've actually figured that's wild. Like I said, I watched this and like I was having like a health flare. Like I like didn't even realize till you just said that right now. I like didn't even piece that together. Oh my god, I forgot about that scene when she said that. I didn't even like piece that together. Oh my god,
Dude, I like the first time I had ever seen this, I must have missed that too, because I was like,
yeah.
oh, he just, picked up the neighborhood fucking dog shit or whatever. And then on a
Oh
rewatch
my
to see
god,
him with the fishnet scooping shit
He's
out.
like, oh,
dude, I
yeah,
didn't
that's
realize.
good.
Because I remember seeing like, yeah, he shuts the door. He's like, "What? Leave me alone." I didn't even
Yeah, I need
realize
some
that's what he was
privacy.
doing. Oh my god, jeez. Oh,
Uh,
that's so
that-
gross. Thank you
that-
for. Oh,
That brings
All right,
brings
guys.
taking shit
So-
to a new level, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We see Ramon. He's at the local body shop and he has a brief encounter with law enforcement. They tell him in a very I'll call it like this. I'll say a very 1960s way to stick around for a few days, compadre, because the boy Tommy has gone missing. Stella is back at the theater trying her best to convince Augie and Chuck that the stories are real and the one about Tommy is absolutely true. She thinks the ink wasn't thick enough to be blood, but it was still wet when it was on the page. Ramon and Stella head to Tommy's family farm now to look at the scarecrow because she absolutely has to see it. And to their surprise, it's wearing the exact same clothes that Tommy had on the night before. After school, though, Stella decides it's time to return Sarah's book. When she gets home, her dad's worried and he wants her to come directly home after school, no lollygagging around, because the Miller boy's gone missing. The whole town's talking about Tommy. Ruth is trying to cover up her spider bite in the mirror, to which Chuck makes fun of her and she slams the door, calling him a butt pimple face. And I'm pretty sure this has happened to Justin before. All you hear is the door slam and him just go, "Oh, my banana."
yeah, it happens.
That's what happened. Yeah, she definitely smushed it right in his face. That's happened to you a few times, huh, Justin?
I don't want to talk about this.
So the book is now open and they're looking at it, and Ramon's reading from it, and they see that it's starting to write another story.
Uh-oh.
And this time, Ramon is there to witness it, and it's the big toe story. And this time,
Ugh.
she's after Augie. This one fucking grosses me out.
I'll say, ugh.
Augie's on the phone with his mom, and he's giving her a ton of crap because she left for the weekend with the boyfriend whom he's refusing to call dad, and they didn't even leave him any food. But he settles for this giant bowl of stew. Red flag. It's in a red thing. And then the mom goes, "I didn't cook you any stew." And he's like, "Well, someone made it. I'm
Someone
just
did."
going to eat it." Stella comes in on the walkie-talkie, and she's begging him not to eat
Oh my God.
anything. And he thinks it's just one big old joke. And he starts eating spoonfuls of ice cold soup.
Ugh.
And then we see a big toe kind of float to the top of this stew. Dude, I got so fucking grossed out with this dude. He's eating it and he makes
Right.
this face and he just like sucks all the juice off the toe as he's pulling it out. I would have just spit everything out.
Oh, dude.
But he pulls his toe out of his mouth, and then we can hear the corpse starting to walk towards him, like the thump, drag, thump. Drag.
Oh,
Oh,
stole
it's got my toe. He panics, dude, and he, instead of running out of the house, decides to run upstairs and hide under his fucking bed with nowhere to go.
That's the best place.
Exactly, dude. And he thinks he's in the clear because he can't see anything. So he halfway crawls out from under the bed, and then he sees the dead corpse behind him, pulls him directly under the bed again, but this time into the wall, leaving nothing but his fucking scratch marks.
Yeah.
Ramon
Oh,
and
yeah.
Stella get there literally 1 minute too late, and they start freaking out looking for Augie. They move his bed, and they see the claw marks being from where he was being dragged, going right to the baseboard. Hence, like, he's gone. They don't know where the fuck he went. Ramon and Stella now go back to the drive-in, and they're waiting for Chuck and Ruth to show up. When they do, Stella fills them in on everything going on, even telling them that Augie's gone, like he's not coming back. Ruthie storms off in disbelief, saying Halloween was yesterday. This is a sick prank. They stay behind to read the rest of Sarah's book. And this shit is just getting wild because then they decide to burn it. And one of them says it worked in the 1600s with the witches. So they throw this thing in a barrel, they light it on fire, they watch it burn, and then they knock it over, and it doesn't work at all. The book is still fully intact. They decide then that they want to head to the local library to filter through I love this
Filter
word.
through.
So they head to the local library to filter through some microfiche. Do you know what microfiche is?
Microfiche.
I feel like we had this in another horror movie, and
We
I couldn't
did.
say the word, and I had no
Is that
clue what it was.
microfiche?
Yeah,
It's the film they use when you scroll through like old newspapers.
Leslie Vernon. This happened to
Yes.
Leslie Vernon, and I
You're
didn't
right,
understand
that
the
is, yep.
word. And I remember being so stumped, and you guys had to explain it because I didn't know what I was saying.
So they scroll through it now, trying to figure out Sarah Bellows' history. They find some clues, but not too much. And Chuck goes, I didn't really find anything, but I found an ad for some brain salt. It cures migraines and constipation. Not really sure why it didn't take off. I feel like this
There
would
you
be
go.
something that Waterboy would point out if we had to do some research.
Maybe.
100%. 100%.
Ramon figures it out, though, that 1 year after Sarah's death, her entire family starts going missing without a trace, one by one. They go through each one of these stories, and while they're doing this, they see another story is being written.
Oh, boy.
And Chuck pulls a Justin at this point, and he's got a big ass ketchup stain on his shirt because he loves ketchup.
That happens to me every day at work. I can't even handle it.
Unfortunately, this story is called The Red Spot. So Chuck starts freaking out because he's got a red stain on his shirt. He goes, oh shit, it's me? I'm going to die? I don't want to die. I haven't even had sex yet. And then as she's reading this, Stella just goes, and a spider bit her face. And he's like, wait, I'm a Spider-Man. I was the Spider-Man. I got a red spot. And Stella just continues to read. But they find out the story is about Ruthie. And then they panic. And then we see Ruthie is at the school where her pimple is now just massive. It's like a full-blown cheekbone.
Oh, Justin loves this part.
Struggled.
Dude, there's girls gossiping about this. One girl even tells her that she needs to go take care of it. So Ruthie takes off of the bathroom, and you can tell she's trying to pop it, but not pop it. I just my stomach is turning at this point, and we see what we think is a black hair that pops out, and it turns out this is a spider, and they fucking hatch, and there's hundreds, and I mean fucking hundreds of spiders pouring out of this poor girl's face, all over her body, all over this bathroom.
Horrifying.
Stella, Ramon, and Chuck, they all show up. They see this. Chuck thinks on his feet. He runs out. He grabs a big ass bucket of dirty ass mop water, and he dumps it on his sister. And you know he kind of enjoyed that for like a split second. Like,
he did.
You know he did.
100%.
And then he like it's enough to get rid of the spiders. So he sits down. He cuddles his sister, but she winds up getting taken out on a stretcher, and Ruthie's down for the count. We're down another one of these kids. The group then goes to a phone booth. I don't know if you guys know what a phone booth is. I would hope so. There's not too many of them around.
No.
But they're looking through the phone book for a little girl named Lulu. They actually find it because Lulu actually used to live with Sarah in the house back when like the family was all together, and we'll find that out later. But they go to Lulu's house to ask her some questions and hope for some answers. And the only thing they really come away with is this creepy ass fucking song out of a music box that actually belonged to Sarah Bellows. And the fact that she didn't die in her house, she died in a hospital. And these kids being like little Sherlock Holmes, they put two and two together and they go, wait, hospitals have records. So let's go to the hospital. So the group heads off now, and they're at the hospital in hopes that they can look at the records and try to get some answers. They're told that in order to do this, they're in a place called the Red Room, and it's going to take about a week to process them. And with no time to waste in this group, they sneak in as a group of doctors sneak out. Very smart on their behalf. They start searching, but Chuck is in full panic mode because his dream and the dream that he keeps having is about the Red Room that he's seen in Sarah's house, not this office space called the Red Room. So Ramon and Stella think he's just, overreacting. There's no red rooms down there. The Red Room is an abbreviation for records. They leave him behind. And Chuck just goes out on a roof, and he winds up getting chased by orderlies because he's sticking out like a sore thumb. And they realize he's not where he's supposed to be. We cut back now, and we see Roman and Stella, and they start going through Sarah's files, and they realize that her own family put her in here, and that her own brother was her doctor. And the only reason why she was in there is because she was different. She was suffering from albinoism. They find a wax like recording, and then they also see that her brother tortured her. They gave her electroshock therapy. They gave her all like anything you can
Horrible.
think of in the 60s in any kind of an institution that like just malpractice and like inhumane. It was done. Like I'm surprised they didn't give this poor girl a goddamn lobotomy.
Yeah.
But they start playing this wax. It almost looks like a cylinder on the
Mhm.
record, and it's her brother, and he's drilling her, and he's like, "You hurt those kids," and she's like, "I didn't hurt those kids." And they go back and forth, and she's like, "I was trying to help them. It was the mercury in the water that was
Mhm.
killing these kids from our paper factory." Like she knew what was going on, and the family
Mhm.
just didn't give a fuck. They wanted her to
Just hit
shut
it.
up. And
Awful.
they spin this off like Sarah's crazy and it's all her fault. And
Mhm.
then like you can hear the brother fucking shocking her.
Mhm.
And then finally she just goes, "I'll tell you what you want to hear. I'll tell you exactly what you need to hear." And then she starts telling a story right into Waterboy's turn.
So things start to get a little creepier here listening to the wax cylinder, where Sarah's starting to speak of Charlie and the red room, describing the dream with a woman and a pale face with black eyes and black long hair. We cut to Charlie running through the hospital maze, dodging security. The screen changes red, and we see the pale woman slowly walking towards him. And he starts trying to go in every different direction possible, with her at every corner, inching closer and closer
Ugh.
until she, like, pretty much consumes him
Yeah, what the
inside of
hell?
her. With Stella and Ramon arriving too late once again, only finding a pen in his place. We head over to the police station with Stella's dad, Roy, having a heartfelt moment, letting her know that it wasn't her fault, and her explaining that if she somehow disappears or that she's going to die, don't think that she had left them. She would never just leave. They try explaining their situation with the book, and of course, Chief Turner doesn't believe any of it and ends up putting them in a cell overnight. And then night comes with Turner noticing Trigger, the dog, growling at the fireplace. There's another story taking place with the head falling down the chimney first for Ramon's story, the jangly man. Soon the rest of the body parts fall down the fireplace and start to piece itself together. And then it stands up and breaks Turner's neck and throws his body at the cells. Now, Stella, thinking on her feet, she takes the keys from him and running out, letting Ramon out before the jangly man could get to them. Ramon tells Stella to head back to the house and try to put an end to this. Stella gets out. Stella gets over there, and a new story opens up where the house completely transitions into being brand new. And now she is actually Sarah, and how it was being with her and trying to hide from the parents and everything. And Ramon ends up heading to the house trying to find her. Stella ends up getting locked into the same room as Sarah after being found. Sarah appears to Stella and she confronts her, saying that it's time for her to tell her story, and describes everything that had happened, that it was horrible and wrong and she deserved none of it, and the rage has to stop, and she will tell her story to the world just if she stops it all. Sarah hands Stella a pen where she starts writing the real story in the book with her blood.
Dude,
And
this
with
is
one,
like
yeah,
a contract. This is like,
Yeah.
all right, you want to tell my story? Here's a pen. Make sure you
Yep.
use your own blood.
on the
Oh,
dotted
yeah.
line, right?
Yep. Sign here, please. And dot. Yep.
Perfect. John Hancock.
Social
Right?
security number, date,
Thank you.
two initials.
One big shriek from Sarah disappears along with the jangly man, ending the craziness before the jangly man almost killed Ramon. Stella did start telling her story, and she seeks to find a way to get her friends back. There has to be a way. And we go into end credits.
End credits. Let's go.
Boom!
Boom.
Let's go. What'd you guys think about this movie, Justin?
All right. I like the atmosphere. I love the beginning. Like cornfields. Love the small town feel. I feel like there was some fun monsters. It had some stereotypical stuff in it, but I feel like it's like, a good like PG-13ish horror movie. I am kind of excited for the sequel. At the same time, I thought it was solid. I didn't love some of the pacing. Like, all right, I'll say this: like the beginning part where I loved the beginning part. Like it hooked me in right away. The middle kind of dragged me a little bit. Besides, like the spider scene was really creepy, but I don't know. I thought the middle kind of like lost it again. But then I got like the ending it again. So I'm gonna rate it a solid 7. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was good. I thought it could have cut out maybe a little bit, but I feel like it's a solid spooky season watch. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. 10. I'm ready for a sequel.
7
Oh,
out
yeah.
of 10. Let's go.
7 out of
Let's go.
10.
7 out of 10.
All right. So this movie, I was expecting like an anthology. I was expecting stories intertwined with stories. I feel like that's not even close to what we got. I feel like they just kind of forced in these characters without any real like backing behind it.
hmm
I was very excited for this movie because, like I said, when I was a kid, those illustrations scared the shit out of me. Having watched a movie like Trick or Treat, which I think is far superior to this, and I think expectations of what got me is I was expecting this to be on the same level as a Trick or Treat,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. But that being said, the characters in this are great. I love the character building between the kids. I love the setting. I love the spooky atmosphere. This is a great Halloween watch. The scarecrow, the walking corpse lady, the jangly man, these are all fantastic characters. I just feel like they rushed them and forced them into the movie. It was I know I don't say this all the time, dude, but I actually think the CGI in this movie is used really well. Like
It
I'm
is, yeah.
okay with it.
I thought that was it the pale woman? I don't know. She kind of looked weird
Yeah.
to me. I didn't like it. I thought it looked like silly. I'll
You
just
know what
say
I mean?
that.
I think I just wanted
Uh,
more in this movie and I didn't get what I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that being said, dude, this is still a very fun Halloween watch. This is still a very spooky watch. It's PG-13. It's got some cool things like instead of showing blood when the scarecrow stabs Tommy, it's just straws of hay.
Yeah.
Like I love that stuff. That's
Hey.
great. The atmosphere, the music, it's good. I'm a little bit lower than Justin. I'm giving this a 6.5.
Yeah,
All
I feel like
right.
7 was generous. I feel like
Yeah.
I didn't even
So
like it as much as 7. But go ahead,
so-
Waterboy.
So I was completely excited for this when it just simply based on the fact of me loving the stories when I was a kid, and exactly what you guys said. I mean, the atmosphere was good. The characters and the cast, they did phenomenal in my eyes. I think the story was a little bit rushed. I would have rather had a more like Trick or Treat style where it was
Bro,
the story.
5 people wrote this movie, and we got this.
The stories that were like they weren't really intertwined. It felt like they just sort of rushed and like picked a different story for each thing. I would have liked. I don't know. It just didn't. It didn't do what I had hoped. It's still a decent movie and it's a decent watch. Of course, you can put it on for your kids or Halloween. In that aspect, I'm definitely ready for the second one. See if they can better, do it better. Take some, criticism for it. But I'm gonna give this a 6.8 out of 10. And that's just simply on the fact of me, loving the movie, like for the nostalgic purpose of me loving the stories. But
Now, don't get this twisted, dude. Like I did like the movie. I'm not in love with it,
mm,
but after like talking about it with you guys real quick, I kind of wish they went the Goosebumps route, where there is so many short stories that they found a way to make all these stories work together at the same time instead of one at a time.
yeah,
You know what I mean? You know how Goosebumps, it was like, all right, these are the books, and then
Sort of like releasing
everything
the
comes out.
monsters.
Yeah,
yeah,
They got
because
released.
I feel like the monsters from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark were like a tertiary character in this. Like Sarah Bellows isn't even part of like the actual books,
yeah.
which is
And-
wild.
And that's one of the things too. Like, so they release like one monster, like the Scarecrow, for instance. Like, they're gonna have just a little bit of part on that, and then after he gets taken, he's gone. We never hear about the Scarecrow. Like, it switches like that. But I think they should still keep them in, or like sort of almost causing havoc with the town instead of just dealing with these kids.
I'm dropping my score to 6.4. I was trying to be nice and said 7, but I'm looking back. I'm like, I did not love this enough for a 7. I really didn't. I was trying so hard. That middle part I hated. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, dude, it's got all the elements to make you want to love it.
Yeah.
Like, it's got the great music. I think like
the intro, dude, it's set up great.
Like the cinematography, like all that stuff, the costumes, the cars, the setups, the institution, the creepy ass house, meeting this creepy ass lady. All right, so something as simple as meeting Lulu, who's this creepy ass fucking lady who's gonna give you a exposition dump on a backstory.
Mhm.
Why is it broad daylight?
Yeah.
Right.
Why are you in a big sunny room full of bright autumn colors?
Dude, the
Like,
intro
make
was
that
great.
shit
Like the
creepy.
beginning of this movie, like it sucked me in. Like the beginning was so good. The first, like I said, the part that I covered, I was loving it, and then I like it just kind of like fell apart a
I'm pretty
little.
sure like they felt the same way when they were making this. It's like they loved the idea, they loved the beginning and doing this,
Yeah.
and then they just got bored. I don't know.
Anyone got
Yeah,
any fun
yeah, that
facts?
kind of feels like that. I do not
Yeah.
have any fun facts, but
I don't either.
this is a perfect intro to horror for anyone's
Yeah.
kids wanting to
Definitely.
get scared.
Yeah.
100%.
I got a few. I got, like I said, the movie inside a movie was, we already named that, Night of the Living Dead. We had a body count of 4. We already mentioned how it was based on the books. Visual effects. I thought this was just worth noting because I always check different things to see who is involved in this movie. There was 151 people that did visual effects for this movie. I've never seen anything like that. And like I said, I deep
that's a
dive
hefty
on this
list.
shit. That was ridiculous. I just had to write that down because I'm like, I ain't never seen a movie that had 151 different people. I thought it was cool. The person that was the Big Toe Corpse was Javier Batet, and he also was the Crooked Man in Conjuring 2. So I thought that was pretty cool. And the person who played Harold and the Pale Lady was both Mark Steger. He actually played both those monsters. And I think it was worth noting that this director, Andre Overdal, he also directed The Autopsy of Jane Doe, which I just wanted to mention because that movie is an absolute banger and so creepy and atmospheric. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but
We got to do that one.
that is
That
legit.
Autopsy of Jane Doe is
so
so
creepy, dude.
wild.
I watched
Oh my
that. I
God.
watched that alone in the dark, and I'm not even going to joke. Like your whole time, you are tense. Like I was actually scared, but we'll get into that another time. But yeah, that's all I got for this movie.
Oh yeah,
Oh
dude.
yeah. All right. So that about wraps it up. Let's get out of here. I'm
Let's do
Hacky. That's Stabby. This
Just
dude.
Justin.
Oh yeah.
Peace.
Adios.
Peace.